The Order of the Phoenix used to be my least favorite book in the Harry Potter series. As a kid, I felt it was long-winded and depressing, and Harry takes on this unlikable character, venting out his anger all the time on his friends. So what made me change my mind? I recently reread the whole Harry Potter series and saw it through a different lens. The Order of the Phoenix is still sometimes depressing, but I argue that it was written this way with intention. Rowling herself said, "My feeling is that Phoenix is overlong, but I challenge anyone to find the obvious place to cut. My feeling is that you need what's in there." And that is a sentiment I agree with, because thematically and plot-wise, every scene truly serves a purpose. I argue that The Order of the Phoenix is written intentionally as a tragedy, with Harry Potter as a classic tragic hero who through his own mistakes brings his own downfall. It is written to truly delve into the minds of the characters and to take Harry, through his failure, onto his biggest character growth so far in the series. By Aristotle's definition, a tragic hero is a protagonist who meets misfortune not through vice or depravity, but by some error of judgment. This error could either be a flaw in the hero's character or a mistake made by him. In this case, Harry's flaws are many. His hubris, his anger, his distrust of authority, and sometimes self-imposed isolation.
Maybe it's just better
To what?
to go it alone.
The plot is evolved around how these flaws were developed, and how they eventually led to his misjudgment, causing him to fall into Voldemort's trap, which resulted in the death of his godfather, Sirius Black. A recurrent motive in the Order of the Phoenix is Harry's isolation, be it willingly or by circumstance. We start the story with Harry stuck in his aunt's house, receiving no communication with anyone in the wizarding world. We also see the Daily Prophet actively try to tarnish Harry's reputation, painting him as a liar and attention seeker. This, of course, doesn't help with his daily life or his relationships with classmates.
Oh, well, I guess you should read The Prophet then, like your stupid mother. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
Don't you dare talk about my mother like
I'll
that.
have a go at anyone that calls me a liar.
Harry does actively try to fight back against this isolation, defiantly, but often not to his advantage.
It's not a lie. I saw him. I fought him.
Detention!
He's got detentions with Umbridge, he's banned from the Quidditch team, and he has his DA club disbanded. Throughout the story, we can see Harry trying to develop relationships, such as the tentative romance with Cho Chang, or forming the DA Society. But by the time the story comes near the climax, all of these relationships and societies have fallen apart, and all the teachers he could have confided to are driven out of the school, like Dumbledore and Hagrid, or injured and unavailable, like Professor McGonagall. These isolations from all aspects in Harry's life is bleak to read, but necessary. They build pressure on his psyche, making him defensive and distrustful. Often he even lets out his anger on his friends.
I said I'm fine, Ron.
Ron and Hermione, true and loyal friends as they are, suffer from these temper tantrums many times throughout the year. We see that, progressively, the isolation of the environment becomes also somewhat self-imposed. He keeps to himself and lands himself into more and more troubles. This social isolation naturally leads to the next part. I do challenge you to find a character more dislikable than Umbridge. I think even Voldemort seems endearing compared to this pink lady. She's probably more relatable to your daily life than you'd ever want her to be. She is a terrible governmental representative and a terrible teacher. And this furthers the mutual distrust between Harry and the Ministry of Magic, making it impossible for him to seek help from them. Teenage years are truly formative. Many adults who we once admired fall apart in our eyes. We realize that they too make mundane mistakes and suddenly seem all too human. Such is what happened to Harry's image of his dad, James. When peeking in Snape's memories, Harry saw his dad acting as an arrogant bully. This contrasts with the hero Harry holds him to be, and is deeply disappointing to him. Besides memories of family members, Harry could always count on Dumbledore's wisdom and help in the past. However, in this book, all Harry experiences is avoidance from him. While Dumbledore has explanations for his behavior at the end of the book,
I knew it was only a matter of time before Voldemort made the connection between you.
I thought by distancing myself from you, as I have done all year, you'd be less tempted.
The explanation came too late and meant too little. Dumbledore also makes the mistake of letting Snape teach Harry occlumency instead of teaching him himself, while knowing how tense the relationship between these two are. This is very reminiscent to me in real life, when parents don't want to tackle different conversations with their kids, deeming it too mature or too dangerous. This inevitably pushes us to learn at a worse place, in a worse time, and with a worse teacher. This distrust of authoritative figures gradually builds Harry's own hubris. Instead of reaching out to others for help, he turns progressively away from them and acts alone. Throughout the 5th year, Harry experiences linked visions with Voldemort. It sometimes shows him useful information and other times mysterious ones, like the corridor leading to the Department of Mysteries. Harry is curious by nature. This quality has helped him multiple times before, like defending the Philosopher's Stone or discovering the Chamber of Secrets. However, this time, his luck would not last. Because of the isolation and distrust we discussed earlier, when Harry is told these visions are dangerous and need to stop, he doesn't take Dumbledore's advice or Snape's teaching seriously. He refuses to practice occlumency to close his mind, despite being told multiple times of its importance. This is hubris at his height. He thinks he knows better than those around him. He was so overly confident about using his vision successfully before, like saving Mr. Weasley from Nagini's attack, that he would trust its validity blindly. By the time Voldemort shows Harry the fake vision of Sirius being captured and tortured, luring him into a trap, Harry is completely isolated. There is no helpful adults around him available, like Dumbledore, McGonagall, or Hagrid, or ones that he would trust, like Snape. The flaws in his character, developed throughout the whole story, culminates at this point: the social isolation, the distrust, and the hubris. But this time his intuition is mistaken, leading him right into Voldemort's trap, and the death of the only family member he has and dearly loves. Sirius is my longtime favorite character in the whole Harry Potter series, and I feel it's worth it to dedicate some time here for him and Harry's relationship and explore why it is important here. In this book, the two of them are emotionally in a very similar place. From Harry's perspective, Sirius is the family he always dreamed of but never had. Both of them feel isolated and alone in the 5th book. Sirius is a wanted criminal, stuck in a family home that he resents. He feels useless for staying hidden for his own safety, while other Order members are risking their lives. They share a common frustration and distrust towards Dumbledore for withholding information, and a common hatred towards Snape. Harry and Sirius emphasize with each other so much that they feel each other's emotional fire, be it for good or for bad. For example, Sirius is often supportive when Harry is acting somewhat rashly, be it going out after curfew or breaking school rules. Perhaps from Sirius' perspective, he also sees in Harry the reflection of his own youth. Sirius sees family, friendship, kinship, all the rebelliousness and fire he had in his youth, and were forcefully taken away. Sirius treats Harry like his fellow friend, James.
Nice one, James!
But in this, he fails his responsibility as a godfather. When Harry is acting impulsively and irresponsibly, Sirius should have stopped him instead of urging him on. So when Sirius died, a part of Harry also died with him. It is very symbolic that the two-way mirror Sirius gave to Harry as a gift is broken by Harry himself. This reflection of each other is also shattered. Harry must leave behind the part of him that was rash, carefree, and thoughtlessness. He must learn to shoulder the responsibility of his own actions. Otherwise, the cost would be the lives of those dear to him. This is a major step of character growth in his continuing journey in the following story: to come out of his own cave of isolation and work with his friends, to learn to ask for help from his betters when help is needed, and to act cautiously and not be blinded by hubris. In conclusion, I think a story doesn't need to be constantly thrilling and exciting to be well written. Here we have a book that is not afraid of being more reserved, slower paced, and takes time and effort to push and transform the hero's character. We have Harry, a tragic hero, who through his own mistake brings his own downfall. But luckily, His story does not end here, and he has more chance to grow. This is why after almost 15 years, I found this book much more interesting than when I read it as a kid. It really is a well-constructed tragedy and a cautionary tale that us as readers could also benefit from. If you didn't like the book before, it may be worth it to look at it through a different lens and different angle, and just maybe you find something new. If you're still with me, thank you so much for watching till the end. If you agree or disagree with my opinion, or have other specific topics you'd like me to cover, please just let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider to subscribe. Again, thank you for watching.